Got it?
I do. It is live. All
All
right.
right, we're underway.
Yes, finally. The wait is over.
Hopefully, somebody doesn't all of a sudden randomly object again.
All right. So as the first band comes out here from ML. That's Miss
Miss
Lethal.
Lethal, yeah.
Okay, Miss Lethal. They have first band first pick here, folks.
All right. They're going to go ahead with an Illidan ban. Illidan did receive last week a round of nerfs. It's slight nerfs, but definitely seemed like enough where he can't quite snowball games like he could before. Still a strong hero. Um, Personally, for me, it's a little surprising to see that ban. But we'll see how this plays out here.
The thing
I
that's
don't,
tough for
other than Tracer, which they're basically forcing Game of Throws to ban out. There isn't any other OP hero, I don't think, outside of that.
right,
So it's
which we're seeing right now. Tracer just got banned as well too.
mm,
The thing that's difficult for Brandon and I, since we don't know either team, we haven't done any research on them. We don't know who their favorite characters are to play. So maybe Illidan's a favorite from one of the guys from Game of Thrones.
could be either that or maybe Miss Lethal just does not want to play against Nilden at all costs. We do see a Li Ming going out as the first pick. She can get that consistent poke on the Immortal. I mean, debatably one of the top mages in the game. Um, Kael'thas has kind of risen to the top of the meta lately. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Kael'thas paired with this Thrall pick that we see from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, for sure. And then we see Thrall coming out on the other side, which is probably the most powerful champ in the game, in my opinion, at the moment. A
Really
lot of
good.
lot of
Yep.
damage, a lot of self healing, and an ult that can
Oh,
literally knock an entire team the other direction. So
yep. And then we got Zagara coming out as that second pick. Very strong. Thrall, Zagara opening up. Zagara is very good on this map. She can lay her creep down across the battlefield and have just vision of the enemy team the entire time while the immortal phase is going on. This is a really, really solid pick. And you have two heroes that can poke from far away. So a lot during, in this game, we're going to see a lot of the time where teams are really hesitant to kind of engage on the other team's immortal because you don't want to fight on the enemy's immortal. So we'll see a lot of poking coming out. Long range abilities that are being thrown. Zagara and Thrall can both do that really well.
yeah, it's worth noting as well too. Zagara and Thrall are pretty much countered each other, so having them both on the same team, it's very difficult to find a counter to either one of them at this point now.
Yep, pretty
Uh,
much. We do see a Tyrande picked up from Miss Lethal,
which good
which
vision again. So if you're going against a Zagara who has all the creep 4 vision for the map, Tyrande is the next best character in my opinion as far as getting that vision across the map, about every
yep.
10 seconds or so.
If they can get even a little bit more burst behind that, Tyrande on this map, anyways, the whole strategy is that you get Tyrande, you get the 25% vulnerability on the Immortal, and you can burn it down much more quickly than the other team. And we do see a double support this early out.
Which is interesting. I mean, and I know a lot of teams are going with the double support right now, and it's literally just all about sustain, especially in this map where, to your point, if you're going to be fighting on your own immortal and you're just poking it, or on their immortal and just poking it, the longer you can stay there and poke it, obviously the better option you're going to have as far as getting the immortal down.
Yep, and we're seeing really from both of these teams a lot of self-sustain, building out for the long, drawn-out fights. A bunch of self-healing on the side of Game of Thrones or Game of Thrones, and then of course the double support already on the left side. As far as a ban, we're gonna get an ETC banned out here. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of target ban on a healer
It,
on Miss Lethal side.
ETC's interesting to me because if they're banning it out, that means they're probably planning on going a couple more melee because that'd be the only reason
Yep.
you're going to go with an ETC. So to ban it out would tell me at this point we're probably going to see a Zul pick here, or maybe even a Sonya pick where you have more melee right in the fight.
And there is that healer ban too. They're gonna ban out Rhaegar. Um,
Probably one of the best
and
healers in the game at the moment as far as turning the tide of a fight with that ulti he has, or had in this case since he's banned out now.
mhm. Yeah, we'll see if they do get another. another melee here. Sonya wouldn't be bad. They'd really be going all in at that point. If they want another melee, other than your main tank, you're basically counting on Zagara to be your your lone range DPS, which can work. Don't get me wrong, but maybe not optimal in this situation here. We do see a Johanna.
We have yet to see a KT. Oh, and a Zebo. There you go. Good pick.
I did not see that coming.
I'm a big fan of the
that's
Zebo.
more poke. That's more poke.
Yeah, poisons do a lot of
It-
damage, and over time he continues to gain health, which is a big thing because late game, if the game lasts 20 minutes,
True.
he can get up to 5k health, which is huge for a mage or a caster in this case.
That's true. The problem is there's only 2 lanes. Spend half the game fighting over an immortal, and his damage just isn't targeted. So when they do actually end up coming into a fight, it could be kind of scary for him. We'll see how it works out. I mean, Azebo's had one of the best win rates in the game, I guess, for a reason.
Yeah,
for a while now.
So
we do.
To your point, with that Ravenous Spirit, you got even better poke.
That's true. That is true.
Don't even have to be there to be able to talk.
Yeah, we do see a Dahaka on the other side too. They're letting this timer run out on this last pick here. It's gonna be a false stab. I really like this. I like this team.
A lot of damage. Not a very heavy tank. I mean, I know you can build Dahaka pretty tanky, but he's not nowhere near as good as Johanna.
He's very sustained.
But with double support, he doesn't have to be the tankiest character in the game because he's got shields and heals.
And there comes a Malf, and I'm not a huge fan of this this healer pick here, because essentially what Miss Lethal is doing is they're saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and once we do engage, we're going to try and blow somebody up with Dahaka Tongue into Tyranda's stun, which is the easiest to hit in the world, by the way, with a 2-second stun on Dahaka. And then you have False Head Leeming to blow him up from there. Malf doesn't have that single target healing to be able to keep someone up. I would have liked to have seen maybe like an Uther or something like that, that can keep that single target up. However, I mean it's still not terrible because you have the root that synergizes with the Ma that Zagara has, even a root with Thrall. You have disengage with your zombie wall and root, so be interesting here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, so that's the draft that's complete at the moment. Now we're just waiting for the game to start here, and let's get the show on the road here.
As far as the draft goes, who do you give the edge to here?
I heed the voice of Elune.
I don't like the non-actual tank on the Miss Lethal side, and I don't like the healer on the Game of Throw side, but I do like the amount of damage that's on the Game of Throw side. So when you're talking about landing wombo combos, for instance, a Maul into a Sunder, into a Ravenous Spirit, I would have to say Game of Throws probably has the upper hand at this point.
This game's really going to fall on Falstad. I mean, I'm assuming that he's going to go Gust here. So when we do get a Heart of Gauge from Zagara with the Ma, or we get a Sunder, they at least have a Gust to disengage out of that. It's going to be really difficult since Miss Lethal can do their combo. Assuming they land it, they can do it every 10-15 seconds when it's off cooldown. And them having to pop like a Sunder or something, with a minute or a minute plus cooldown in order to disengage from it, scares me a little bit. I think Miss Lethal can burn it a little bit faster, and I think they have the burst damage and disengage to deal with this. I give the slight edge to them, though. I do really like the poke.
With how much
out of Game of Thrones too.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage on that side of the field.
Will be good. Almost loaded in here. Alrighty, on the left side for Miss Lethal, we do have Swag X Lithium on Li Ming. Tassadar is going to be played by Soylad. Galler 98 is on Tyrande. Sassyport on Falstad. And Elfinari on Dahaka.
On the other side, you have Risk on Thrall, Schweck on Malfurion. Let's see. Death TOKC on Nazebo. Apple Eater on Zagara. And Kill Cam on Johanna. And this is already off to an interesting start here with...
Try and pick somebody off in a rotation over mid here. But Thrall did rotate just in time. They're pretty much going to play it safe, I think, until we get this first wave spawning up here. However, they're staying out a little ways. They can get a little lockdown.
So Zagara's already started on the bot lane with the creep. She's thrown it out there so she can see any kind of ganks happening from the opposite lane.
And this is going to be really interesting to see how this lane plays out. They have a lot of push down bottom with Zagara and Johanna versus rather than the 4v3 that they have up top. Yeah, with Miss Lethal, I think they're going to better push bottom. So we'll see if they respond to this or just try and counter push.
Interesting too. They leave Tastar bot lane by himself. Tastar is very good at wave clear, and on top of that, with his the storm.
Yeah, he can clear the creeps.
Yeah, he can clear the creep relatively quickly here as well too. So
we do get a stun on Thrall in the follow up. They couldn't quite blow him up. And that is that stun combo that you basically have to look out for the whole game. Dahaka into Tyrande, and then that time they didn't have all 4 members firing on all cylinders there, and Nazebo gets caught out.
Yeah, no real hard follow up there.
You can just tell how deadly that tongue is for Dahaka. You land that thing, you better hope you have some support behind you, otherwise you're pretty much toast.
So, looks like Game of Thrones has one of the towers down bot lane as the first Immortal spawn here.
And Miss Lethal is going to phase this. They've got the much quicker clear when it comes here. A little defense coming up from Game of Thrones, though.
And there goes Dahaka. So, to Brandon's...
Dahaka got stunned. I'm sorry, go ahead.
To Brandon's point early on here, Game of Thrones fights on top of their Immortal. And then in doing so, they can kind of defend and kill the other team at the same time. So, as we see Dahaka go down, Brandon's right on the money from the get-go. It's all about defending and poking.
Now, it's not the end of the world for Miss Lethal because they had burned that down. They actually got the Immortal phased. And now this is probably one of the... Well, it's debatable. So... You have Game of Thrones trying to at least get the shield down, but it's still going to be a half health. Luckily for them, it's the first Immortal. They got down too much early on, and there was still plenty of damage left on Miss Lethal's side at that time. It was so short that they either had to take another fight and risk it, or just go back and try and burn the shields down. I'd like to see them go back right away and try and burn it down, but
so a couple
at the same time,
quick
they were
tidbits
just
for folks.
They were trying to actually.
The shield is based on the remaining health of the opponent's Immortal when you kill it. So if you don't do any damage to your Immortal, that shield's going to be thicker when it actually drops to the ground. And then another quick thing as well too is that the Immortal's always going to go to the strongest lane that's available. So if you do more damage to the top lane early on, the Immortal's going to automatically go to the bottom lane, and vice versa. If you do more bot lane, it's going to go to the top lane. So you can kind of almost control where that goes as well too by sending more people top or more people bottom, depending on what your game plan actually is.
Right on. As far as talents so far, we're seeing some pretty standard builds across the board. It does look like Li Ming might be going for a W build, an orb build, which would definitely be interesting.
Tyrande took shield with her level 4 pick, which is not normal necessarily, but not out of the realm of, possibilities here.
No, we haven't seen the actual the Ranger's Mark cooldown that she went on level 1. We haven't seen that in a little while either.
One of the benefits of probably going double support is that she's able to actually take other talents rather than just full support talents.
Right.
We see Game of Thrones take the bot camp here, so they have help pushing on the bottom lane. Top lane seems to be trading back and forth on the 3-on-2 up there, and Nazebo comes back to 3-on-3 here. Looks like we got a team fight.
We do have a hard push bottom.
Yeah. Zagara came over to help out. Falstad had to come down to help clear.
We got a level 7 reach by both teams here.
So everyone gets new talent abilities at level 7, so it'll be interesting to see which way we're going to go here. Johanna goes cooldown reduction. Melf hasn't even picked a talent yet. Tyrande goes extra reach on the flare, lunar flare. So, and here comes
pretty much everything's pretty standard across the board here. It'd be interesting to see what Malf is hiding here, or what he's.
No, he took it. He finally picked it.
That actually really does surprise me, though, not going for a cleanse when you have such the the lockdown that you've got on the side of Miss Lethal.
Yeah. And once again, Miss Lethal just burns the Immortal down. Yep.
They do have a camp pushing top, though, that they're going to have to respond to. If they do that, we actually might be able to see Game of Thrones burn this down. This is a fight they can take. It's just 5v4. They know Dahaka is up top. The camp is cleared now, so they can expect them back in at any point. Their window for being super aggressive may have passed. And we get Thrall in a little bit of trouble here.
Thrall gets wiped off the map.
Yep.
Missed
the tongue, but Li Ming said, "I don't care. Here's an orb to the face and a bunch of magic missiles."
So for as much damage as I thought Game of Thrones would have, I just feel like their damage isn't necessarily being represented at the moment. And that Li Ming false stab poke is just way too strong here.
I think what's hurt. As we see Sorlad go down to Johanna in the Condemn, and we're gonna see Game of Thrones back on the aggressive. No follow up there on the Nazeebo, who did get stunned in the Immortal there.
Yeah. I thought I saw a Lunar Flare come out, but I guess you missed it. It looks like
they. Oh, that was close. That was close. Game of Thrones is gonna get this though. We have this minion wave on the bottom. Are you still in here?
Yeah, I'm actually logging out, but they paused it, I think, right?
Yeah, they paused it. I didn't even realize there was another observer in here. Are you reconnecting right now, or what's going on?
I'm back in.
Okay. Cool.
Did I pause it?
No, one of them did. We didn't ask for a DC, but they stopped for us. Cool. While we're waiting here, both teams are like neck and neck for XP. However, we do have this Immortal that's about to start pushing top. That should get an XP lead for Game of Thrones. They should reach level 10 just a little bit sooner than Miss Lethal.
Tell them I'm back, because apparently they can't see the observer channel. I can't type in all.
Yeah, I don't know what. I guess they can't see if we type as observers.
Apparently not. So, good to know for the future.
Huh.
Alright, so back to the top lane after these fine gentlemen decided to pause the game for me since I somehow froze there.
What a bunch of bros.
Yeah, yeah. So 4 people top for Miss Lethal clearing this Infernal as fast as humanly possible.
We got a 4-man bottom. They're gonna get the sport on the bottom side. It's not gonna give them 10, but it's gonna give them a good chunk of XP.
Yeah.
That was interesting though. They ended up getting a fort, and they made like minimal ground as far as XP goes. So they're both going to hit 10 at like the exact same time.
Yep, looks
we're
like...
we're going to see people getting started on these camps. We got a 4v2 bottom here.
Yep, Miss Lethal's going for bot
back
camp.
out.
And, sorry, Miss Lethal's going for the top camp.
We're looking... Nah, he knows better.
Yeah, he's not silly.
Yeah, he actually burnt his ultimate, though. However, with battle momentum, that'll be up the next time they need to fight. Which I anticipate is going to be the next immortal phase.
All right.
As far as ultimates go, we do see... I love this. We do see Starfall out of Toronto. The Starfall that just got buffed. It's quite a bit more damage than it did before. I could be completely wrong. I think it's like a 60% buff or somewhere around there. We do see Gust, as we thought, out of Falstad, Disintegrate on Li Ming, Isolation on Dahaka. They're going to go ahead and push this top fort into.
Yeah, Maw on Zagara, and obviously the Sundering from Throw. If you just didn't say that. I think you did.
Yeah. We're good at it.
So
now these teams are going to start timing this side camp. Well, I believe.
Yeah,
at least Game of Thrones is going to do theirs.
Yeah, and we all know that Miss Lethal's been poking the crap out of the Inferno relatively fast. So one thing you'll notice here as well too is there's creep all over the center of this map right now. So Game of Thrones can see everything that Miss Lethal is doing.
Apple Eater is just... It was like this for the first couple of Mortals too. Just creep everywhere. Well done.
So,
and Miss Lethal didn't realize that they were doing that camp right away, so they kind of postured around mid. And now they're going to have that camp pushing top. Eventually, that's going to reach the keep. We do have a Sunder coming out from Thrall up top.
He's trying to pick off Li Ming there. Wasn't very successful. This is what you're seeing once again with the double support comp. They can sustain. So, once again, to Brandon's point, that camp is pushing top lane. It is just cruising along here. Nothing is stopping it at the moment. And these two are just dragging this fight out center lane here.
Yep. So, basically, like, Game of Thrones is going to drag this out just fine as long as they want. They don't want this to end quickly, right? The longer this drags out, eventually that is going to reach the keep. They're going to have to respond to it, and that's going to be their chance to either A, force a fight on 4 people, or just go ahead and burn the Immortal. Here comes the Blessed Shield out from Johanna. No follow-up there as Nazeeba was Lunar Flared right behind him.
Dahaka's falling relatively low. Falstad's falling relatively low. This is where that poke comp comes in for Game of Thrones. All that damage that I was talking about early on, it's finally coming to fruition 12 minutes into the game.
So the interesting thing is we have the double support on the side of Miss Lethal. However, if any of them want to get in any range to use their abilities to heal up from Tastar's Life Leech, they just can't do it because the ranged poke is so good out of Game of Thrones. They can't get in range to do anything. And you look at it now, Game of Thrones is full health. On Miss Lethal, everybody's at half.
Once again, we saw Miss Lethal go back to clear that top lane, so now it's just regular minions clearing that top wave, and Game of Thrones had absolutely no resistance trying to burn this Immortal down here. Nobody died, which is interesting. It was all just a matter of poking back out, so all that damage that we finally were talking about, here it came.
We had kind of mentioned this before the game too, that one of the big things in this map is timing out camps. Well, those camps pushed walls, forced Miss Lethal to come back. That's basically won them every Immortal since the first one.
Yeah. Melf's popping the Tranquility here. He fell a little bit low, but everybody's going to be topped off while this Immortal just does damage to the wall.
We do have Starfall come out from Toronto as
well.
There's a Gust. They're going to try and burn this down.
Maw hit no one.
I think that might have been a little bit of a misplay. They saw the Maw go down, immediately burned Gust to make sure there was no follow-up. Just didn't realize that nobody was in there. That keeps me down, but just go ahead and disengage back out.
Probably could have been a lot worse from him, but the wall and the gust kind of pushed him off a little bit, so they did some damage to that immortal before it went down there.
And again, I mean, as long as these immortal fights have taken, this is basically, you know, this is going to push themselves. This is like a free camp pushing all the time down this bottom lane. So in the next immortal phase, at some point we're going to need to see Miss Lethal make a play. Preferably they do that early on before Game of Thrones reaches level 16, which will make engaged all the tougher.
Yeah. So in the
We'll
midst
see.
of all of that happening, if you notice the middle of the map again, completely covered with creeps. So Apple Eater's just...
They know where they're at all.
Yeah, Apple Eater's just too good with this creep right now. Game of Thrones tried to...
Another Blessed Shield with no follow-up there. But again, with battle momentum, I mean, you're really not spending much.
Yeah,
That'll be up
within a minute, so it's not that big of a deal. He was just trying to steal a camp there, which is
It'll be.
understandable. Plus, they have such a sizable lead at the moment, they haven't even lost a single tower yet. So
We do see both the camps that had been captured. I guess that's the right way to put it.
Thrall's getting...
Both cleared themselves out on the bottom side of the map, so nothing left there.
So Thrall's going to get the Bruiser camp for Game of Thrones. It's going to be another 3 minutes before the Miss Lethal camp is up.
All right, now Miss Lethal is going to want to try and force something here before they get to level 16. They're going to go and race burn this down. And notice Li Ming did get glass cannon at level 13. Scary stuff out of there. It's going full deeps.
So it's almost a tie here as far as the damage goes. They're 1,000 off of each other. So Doc is getting picked out of the crowd here. If they can get a root on him, no, nothing.
Oh, miss Blood Shield there.
There's the stasis. No
The
follow
Haka
up.
might be in trouble.
Doc got... Yep, he's gonna get... No!
Oh man, he's gonna make it.
No Gust from Falstad to clear this out here. Wall up, and guess what? Game of Thrones
He
once
knew.
again.
He knew he was good. If they turn and burn this Game of Thrones, they might be able to just outrace them.
Yeah.
I think they're a little slow getting on that though. They're gonna split, which is one of the worst things you can do.
Oh,
Oh,
the
there
Maw
comes
comes
a Maw.
down. Only one person gets caught into that.
And the important thing is they're blocking them out from the Immortal. They can't attack it right now.
Wow. Looks like there might still
No
get
guts,
it.
no glory. Oh, no way. No.
Oh.
Oh, wow. The Gus comes out. They get the final hit on there.
So while all that's going on, top lane's about to drop because of the camp that the Game of Thrones originally had gotten.
Yep.
So now we have nothing protecting the core on Miss Lethal's side, although they do have an Infernal push in their bot lane for him, so they need to get down here relatively quick and try to push with this thing.
Yeah, this is the real unfortunate part because they worked so hard for that Immortal. The long drawn out, they sacrificed a key for it. They get the Immortal, and now there's absolutely no follow-up. This isn't even going to get a fort. They had to come back. They had to clean. They were so low. Everybody HearthStone. And both keeps went down. They had minions and catapults and mercenaries pushing the core and had to respond to it.
So Game of Thrones once again going to get the bot lane for the third time in this game. Looks like Game of Thrones is... I'm sorry, Miss Lethal is going for the top lane. Game of Thrones just got the bot lane for the third time this game.
They know they got numbers right now. They're going to go for it. Spike Lithium's going to go down. They're going to go on Soylad here, but he's going to get out of there. Galler's going to make an impressive play. They have to back. They're taking way too long.
Yeah, this is not good. Falstad just poured it. There's your Gust. Follow up for the wall. I knew that was
Oh, they
coming.
might be able to get Thrall here.
Oh, Thrall goes down.
They got him. Oh, and they get the missed tongue from Elfenari. That could have secured another kill. They might be able to. No, they're gonna just back out. But that was scary for a second.
Yeah.
We knew that Game of Thrones had numbers. They took a fight. They took down Li Ming, and they were ready to rock.
Looks like Game of Thrones is going to steal Miss Lethal's Bruiser camp here. Not going to be able to
Go ahead
pick
and get it.
anybody
And they're
out.
gonna walk right out of there.
Wow.
They could have made a play there if they were able to get there a little bit quicker, but you know, again, this is one of the things when we've got an exposed core like this. Now we have this camp going right to the entrance where the keep
Zagar
was.
just got blasted off the planet by Li Ming's laser.
Oh wow.
Alright, Falstad clearing waves back at the keep here. And there's not going to be any fight at all right now for the Infernal in the middle. I'm sorry, the Immortal in the middle.
Well, see, I think this is a situation where they can leave Falstad down, clear this. They have all 4 of the other members. Oh, they can't leave this.
No, here we go. Doc is a dead man. Oh, the Gus saves.
Ooh, that isolates Johanna right there. No follow up. They're on the back foot a little bit too much. They have to force something here. They just don't have time. There it goes. There it goes. Nazebo. Ugh.
Oh, well,
Li Ming is just doing work on this.
this Infernal, yeah. The core's going to protect itself with that wave that just popped right there, so...
We had Dahaka coming back in here.
yeah.
Looking at a gank.
Oh,
That's on Malf. That's on
it.
Malf right there. Malf is going down.
So
They got the ball, but there's no follow-up, and they have no healer. We got a couple members low. Johanna and Nazeba both low.
Uh-oh.
Man.
Let's see if the Owl
So
can take one of the
close.
2 of these out.
They do have minions on the core right now with catapults. They might actually get real damage on the core here if they don't come back and clear it. They're going to be able to just
They're race this one down.
burn this straight down.
Well, they get it. Now the question is do they even attempt to clear?
They have to. But what they should be doing is Dahaka and Falstad clear this. Just clear 1 or 2 waves and then burrow/fly up top. But they can make a push on this in Deathball. If they can get a kill, they may be able to even up the keep situation.
Oh, here we go. Falstad
They're ahead in levels right now too.
Yeah, Dahaka just cleared the last wave bot, and he's probably gonna. My guess is he's gonna ghost up to the.
He might be on cooldown yet too. Is burrow.
The vent behind the keep here.
Yep.
Nice stun comes out by Tyrande. Li Ming poking from the side. Game of Throws put some decent damage on the Immortal. That's going to go down relatively quick here. So unable to pick anybody out. Dahaka's just completely cleared the bot lane though. Another stun from Tyrande. Nice.
Oh wow. So Miss Lethal right here, they're gonna soak and try and get 20. Once they get 20, it'll be time to force a fight. They might even contest this top camp that they're going after right now. They do not have the numbers though. We'll see. No.
Game of Throws changing things up here, going for the top camp instead of the bottom now.
Bold strategy.
it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how this plays out. All right, so we got 5
We got
on
the
5.
flank from Paul down here. He might be looking to sunder. Looks like they're just gonna disengage out.
Yeah.
He was in a decent spot. Definitely a risky move though. Like they should be fighting before Miss Lethal hits 20.
Uh-oh, Falstad.
There we go.
Sunder.
That's the blessed shield we're looking
Oh,
for. Like great Gus disengage.
oh, poor Nazebo.
Oh wow, Li Ming.
Nazebo gets tongued and
Whoa,
then blasted.
Yep.
Some might
and that's
say-
what they've been looking to do from the start. They're gonna go ahead and grab this camp too, and this is great for them. I mean, this is something that's either that it'll probably just get cleaned out for free, but this is gonna let it push the lane out just a little bit. It's gonna let them basically phase this Immortal for free.
Well, the interesting part here is this game has now gone on for 23 minutes, 23 and a half minutes. Each one of these death timers is over a minute long.
Zagara goes down.
So we really can't afford at this point to lose anybody on either side. Otherwise, you're pretty much giving the other team a very, very unfair advantage. Nazebo's coming back up. 45 seconds on Zagara. Top lane's pushing hard.
You mentioned how this is a late game at this point. Can't afford any slip ups. Because even with a fort still up, fort plus their keeps on the side of Game of Thrones, this still could be an end situation. But look at the core of Miss Lethal. They need to respond to this.
And Falstad just flew back, so
and they're gonna have to disengage out of here. Tazstar should be able to make it out. That was Precious. That was Pop. He should still have his regular E. Maybe he doesn't.
He got a heal from Tyrande here, so he should
They're
make
going
it
all the way
out.
back.
Tapping the sippy cup. They did quite a bit of damage to the Immortal anyway, so they have an ability to... Oh, we might just have a base race here, folks.
They may just go for core. The shield's down right now. It's at 72%. Falstad getting rooted here. They're going for it. They're going to disengage out here, but...
Sticking around.
Zebo very much out in front again. They did get that down to 60.
Yeah, they have. They've cleared the waves, folks. So now, if they can go back to the base, get full health, full mana, go over there and finish racing this Immortal down.
Now this plays in the Game of Thrones side. We have Miss Lethal on the back foot, but there's not going to be a phase, so there isn't going to be a chance for Miss Lethal to kind of regain their composure and come back in. They just basically have to burn this down, but it does look like they're getting back on their Immortal in time. Miss Lethal is going to grab this.
So one thing that we haven't mentioned all game that I just realized right now is Tyrande is actually putting her Hunter's Mark on the Immortal, so they're doing quite a bit more damage to the Immortal where the other team isn't, so that's why they're being able to burn it down so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the whole strategy behind the Tyrande on this map and what makes her so good here. They even doubled down on it with their level 1 talent. They went Ranger's Mark, lowering the cooldown of Hunter's Mark by 6 seconds. So he can spam that on there even a bit more. And this is going to be a hard push here. We still don't have level 20s out of Game of Thrones. Levian looking for a big combo, doesn't get it. We get a disengage with Blessed Shield out of Johanna. I really think they need to get a keep here.
I have a feeling they're going to. That Immortal is doing tons of damage.
He's chunking half of the tower down with his shot.
Yeah, they need to do the best they can to get this.
Well, they're going to get the wall. They're not going to get this keep, though.
Alright, minions back on the core for Game of Thrones, so someone from Miss Lethal's going to have to get back there. Literally taking every ounce of damage you could possibly take.
So tough for them, yeah. There's no room for error at this point. If they lose a hero, it's pretty much game. They're constantly going to have these lanes pushing. That was one of the big things why they really needed to get a keep there. If they can get a pick at some point, right, and they can go and push down a keep, that gives them a win condition for the next time that they can win a fight. But basically, they have to win every fight from here on out. And they didn't get the keep down, so they don't have catapults pushing in the opposite direction. There's just infinite, pushing power on the side of Game of Thrones.
So interesting strat from Miss Lethal. They're going to go ahead and cap it right now, even though the Infernal's not up.
So, an interesting talent that we don't see all that often. Zagara, her level 20, she actually took Tyrant Maw. So when the Maw does land, it's going to deal 50% more damage than it does baseline. When you get a takedown, it's going to reduce the cooldown of the Maw by 30 seconds.
So one thing that
interesting.
Did hear about that is it doesn't actually have to be from the Maw. It just has to be a takedown period. Okay, so...
look at this camp over here. Look at this camp over here. Oh, he didn't get on it in time. That was close.
Almost stole it from
That was
him.
close. If he would have just gotten on the point, even if he blew the gust still, if he had just gotten on the point, Game of Thrones was nowhere near. They wouldn't have been able to hold that.
Alright, so right away Game of Thrones goes to defend, and like we've seen so far, so long, Miss Lethal's just going to keep poking that, poke.
We do have a pause called out here.
Folks, we've now hit the longest game ever.
This is a hell of a game.
Can I pee?
Oh boy, it's pretty impressive how well Miss Lethal has been able to defend this. They've had both their keeps down for what, 15 minutes now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been that long, but yeah,
it was around minute 13 or 14 when the Immortal took down that last keep, or at least the first keep, anyways.
Yeah,
they've had to keep down for they've had to keep down for 15 minutes. They've had some close calls, but yeah, just a great thing. Great thing to see. You see Epic Mount out of Volstad, so we could try and see a Gust, a Fly and Gust play, but he's mainly been using this as kind of a safety for a disengage, which I think is what they need to do because they can't get caught or they lose. So I doubt we'll see that.
So we got a little bit of a timeout here, folks. While everyone takes a bathroom.
Everybody takes a potty break.
These games don't normally last 28 minutes, so folks have to stop halfway.
No, especially not on Battlefield of Eternity. That's for sure. One thing we didn't mention before too, Tyrande, even though she definitely wasn't going for a heal build, the Starfall, some cooldown reductions on the early part, in a Lunar Blaze upgrade. She ends up taking Overflowing Light at 13, which is going to give her more healing when she's above 30% or 50%. That was kind of surprising to see it. A very hybrid build out of Tyrande.
And we're back.
We are back.
All right.
Basically, this is going to decide the game.
Yeah, pretty much. If Miss Lethal can actually, well, we got to.
Oh, and Indestructible's popped. We do have a Sunder. Falstad's in trouble. He's going to go down.
Oh, Falstad.
It's a great blink play. Great blink play from Thrall. This might be game if they can keep following up on it.
Sunder is down.
Back out a little bit. Miss Lethal can't back out. They basically just have to keep going. Otherwise, they can see the game.
They have minions on the core.
They do have cans pushing on the core right now.
Yeah. That shield, as you can see up here, is going down quickly, and they're going to have to go back. Otherwise,
this might be a checkmate.
Good game, folks.
Yeah, this might be a checkmate. It's done.
The potty kills it for everyone.
Oh, well fought. 29 minutes. Well fought.
Long game.
They got backed up in a corner, and there was only one play they could make, and they got picked. Like they had gone how many fights without getting picked off or anybody dying? I mean, it was a clean game all around. 7 kills to 4 was all. It's crazy damage out from Li Ming too. Holy cow! 101,000 hero damage.
Yeah. 111,000 from Malfurion's actually pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, and he did actually. It's not. I don't believe it's an incredibly popular talent, but he did take Life Seed on 13 as well, which basically just gives him extra healing to whoever's nearby when he casts his Q. So he went complete and full heal build for sure.
I'm glad that you said that, Brandon, because the last few times I've played Malfurion, I actually take that talent.
Oh, do you?
But
it's like one of the most controversial talents. I've heard some of the pro supports even talk about how much they dislike it, and I've also seen others that say they like it. So it's like everybody's split down the middle. But his thing was he was just going as many heals as he could get because he even went hard and focused at 16, which is not something we see very often on Malfurion. So as long as he kept his health up, he was healing around, not even the primary target, but people around the primary target he was healing. And his cooldowns were reduced by 50%. So
yeah, so about every 10 seconds.
He kept his team up. And
yeah.
And we had noted, during those long drawn out Immortal fights, we're like, well, Game of Thrones is full health while everybody's half on the side of Miss Lethal. So, it worked. It worked for him.
Yeah.
Great game.
Well, Brandon, this has been fun. I hope that we're going to do this
Been real
again. Hopefully next time we'll have some graphics and stuff for you guys as well too, so it won't be so primitive at the moment. But this is our first game that we've ever casted. If you're watching right now, do me a favor, follow the channel. If you're already following, leave comments. That'd be great. I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.